Hi, and welcome to VSU Today, your source for news and information at Virginia State University. I'm your host, Daphne Maxwell Reid. In our first segment, we focus on our sports management program at VSU. As both NASCAR and minor league baseball executives visited our campus, not only did our students get a chance to mingle with several top corporate representatives from both organizations, they also got a chance to shadow them on the job.
The sport management program at Virginia State University is probably the second largest on campus here at Virginia State.
And our aim is, if I can use my mantra, and that is to get ready and stay ready. Get ready and what? Get ready and what?
So we'd like to make it a full major. Right now it's just a minor, but we do have the graduate program.
How was it that the event was so successful?
So our goal is to prepare our students to secure gainful employment in the multi-billion-dollar sport management industry.
I'll give me another example of D&I.
We try to provide experiences, hands-on, transformative experiences. Students are exposed to the industry early on from freshman year.
Even working in the second role that I did at NASCAR, I've worked a lot.
We bring in representatives from agencies here. I'd like to welcome our guests here from NASCAR, so students can interact with them.
Just the ability to go fast is not good enough. You know what I'm saying? It's the ability to go fast and be accurate.
Talk to them about job opportunities and internships.
They offered me a chance to come and work in their farm system and work up and hopefully make it into the majors.
We have opportunities for our students to gain the type of exposure that they need to be competitive.
Show me what you got. Show me what you got.
Sports management has had a partnership with NASCAR for about 12 years. The last 2 years we've invited student athletes to take part in a combine, which helps to train pit crew members for NASCAR.
We look for athletes.
So students can interact with them.
The attribute is to have the speed, to have the hand-eye coordination, to have the agility, and also the biggest one, to be able to perform under pressure. Over, up.
NASCAR's Drive for Diversity Pit Crew Development Program. That's an awesome program.
Lenore, did you see the difference in the footwork? You see what I saw?
And provides opportunities for students to compete for positions, ultimately for positions on race teams as members of pit crews.
There's 75, about 78 individuals have come through this program. 45 have actually got a job and 35 are currently still in it.
It's just really great to know that our students have such great opportunities to really break into areas, especially sport areas, that they never thought about. And so this is a wonderful relationship that we're going to keep on nurturing with NASCAR as well.
Every time I come back to campus, Dr. Bay, one of the first things he says to me is, "Welcome home." My relationship dates back 6 or 7 years. I was introduced to Virginia State University by Todd Parnell. Parney with the Richmond Flying Squirrels brought me down here for a symposium, and my first introduction was as a keynote speaker at the Spring Symposium. One of the things that you know I've talked about in my trips to Virginia State is I will take away much more than I leave behind.
Pat and I, because of Dr. Bay, went to Virginia State University a few years ago, and that started Pat having a special relationship.
And I fell in love with the place, I fell in love with the people, and I saw it as an opportunity for us to have a mutually beneficial relationship. I don't care what you're doing, where you're at, if you work hard and keep your nose clean, good things will happen. As I was launching a diversity program for minor league baseball, and as an HBCU, I thought that this was one, a good source, but two, a quality institution that was preparing its students for a future at a level at which I found very attractive. And what am I going to have to invest in you, and you invest on getting better at, to move you into another category?
During my time at Virginia State University, I actually had the opportunity to be engaged by minor league baseball. The good thing about Pat and my relationship is that from day one, before day one was this day 2 years ago. But even before I came to the office, we sat down and we were having heart-to-hearts before then. Part of the diversity initiative, which had launched before I came on board, was Pat O'Connor would take his time to visit different historically black colleges, and Virginia State was on the list. So I was introduced to the game of minor league baseball during one of his campus visits.
Pat, what you're telling these students is really where the rubber hits the road. And Pat O'Connor gets it.
No, things happen.
It's truly a reciprocal relationship where he is really, genuinely giving back to the university.
It's very competitive.
Every year he comes back and speaks with our students.
But from a standpoint of competition,
he talks to them about preparing themselves for the next phase of their life.
I need the Jackie Robinsons of your generation.
About being resilient.
But I challenge you to do it.
Truly a man of his word.
We're going to talk about today's game. And then since we're going to...
Well, it's a special relationship between the Flying Squirrels and Virginia State University, and I think that's because of the people.
This is Ayanna. She's from Virginia State University in the sports management program, and she's shadowing me today.
I like to think we have special people here, and certainly at Virginia State University, the whole institution from administration to specifically sports management department, mass comm department, those are some of the people that we worked with in the past. And then the students. It's all about having what's in your heart, right?
Yes.
Like I wake up, I've been doing this 28 years. I wake up in the morning and the very first thing I want to do is come to work.
One thing I like about the sport management program at Virginia State University is that I have been introduced to many different people, such as Mr. Todd Parnell, who is the COO of the Richmond Flying Squirrels.
Christian Arroyo, he just got called up to the big leagues. He's now a big leaguer.
He talked with me about how he got to where he was.
It's hard to be in this business and like sleep.
And he gave me a lot of advice.
There's a bunch of different kinds of mediums that people can buy for advertising.
About how I should take more internship jobs.
Part of the thing about this business, as these two will attest to you right now, is it's a complete grind. Like
he walked with me around.
We can use this for pitching on rainy days like this.
Also got to speak with Mr. Anthony Opperman.
Honestly, I learned a lot of what I've known about baseball from a couple of internships.
Well, we've really valued our relationship with Virginia State University and the sports management program there specifically. And I mean, for college students, it's really important to get some exposure to the process and what goes on in terms of setting up for games and kind of the behind the scenes look at what happens here, because you can hear people talk about it, but until you really experience it, it's difficult to fully grasp and understand.
When we come back, we travel to Cincinnati, Ohio for a profile on VSU's rector, Harry Black.
We transform lives by sharing knowledge, ideas that flourish, by encouraging creativity with the students that come here. We transform lives by shaping your future through scholarship, by way of study with the finest minds in the world. We transform lives from first-generation students to lifelong learners. We are the best place to be in Virginia to study, work, make an impact on your community. Virginia State University. We are your transformative experience.
Welcome back. Our next story takes a look at Virginia State University's rector and alumnus, Harry Black. VSU Today traveled all the way to Cincinnati, Ohio, where Mr. Black gave us an insider's look at what it takes to be a city manager.
Growing up, I heard a lot about Virginia State University. A lot of family members have matriculated through the university, starting with my great-grandmother. We believe she finished Virginia Normal and Industrial Institute, which is now Virginia State University, somewhere around the 1890s. Her son, my grandfather, was at Virginia State which was also still Virginia Normal and Industrial Institute around 1918 to 1920. This picture was taken in 1920, and it was the Trade Department. We're not quite sure which building that was, or even if that building is still there, but he's right there. So I grew up hearing all about Virginia State University and the trials and tribulations of how African Americans had to struggle.
The president referred to the events in Selma as an American tragedy.
But also had to be committed to higher education in terms of bettering their lives. So although I applied to other schools, deep down inside I knew that I was going to be going to Virginia State University. In my mind, if it was good for my great-grandmother, if it was good enough for my grandfather, I have a brother and a sister who have also graduated from Virginia State University, it was going to be certainly good enough for me.
Well, Harry Black is the most important employee in the city because he's the city manager, and in Cincinnati, city manager there's a long historical tradition of a city manager.
Our first city manager to our previous city manager, and perhaps one day my picture will be on that wall as well.
So as mayor, I sort of set the vision, but he has the authority and the responsibility to implement and operate the city at the highest level.
Clearly, as an African American man, there are very few city managers across the United States that serve in his capacity.
So it's been great, personal for me. I mean, I tell people that.
And it's clear that Harry Black has a deep interest in helping African American men and women advance.
But this is primarily space for the mayor and the city manager.
I aspire to become a city manager.
This is the Wall of Mayors. This goes back to the beginning of the city.
And so Virginia State University offered me the opportunity to go to Cincinnati and shadow Mr. Harry Black.
Welcome to Cincinnati City Hall.
And learn a tremendous amount about local government.
Assistant City Manager. He's a senior at Virginia State University. Aaron Chandler.
How you doing? About myself.
The city manager is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the city, which means that
about other employees within the local government.
This is where we do all the training and development of our police officers.
Which is an opportunity that I will never be able to thank Virginia State University enough for.
There I am as a 22-year-old recruit. As an African American man myself, when I see a leader that is a product of one of our HBCUs, it actually gives me pride. I see the leadership skills and what he really provides to a city this size.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
It certainly shows what HBCUs actually instill in our leaders, and it's something to be very proud of.
What was very critical for my overall development and the success that I've been able to attain thus far in my life and my career, we have to have role models. We have to have people who take interest in us. Jason Dunn, he is our Chief Information Officer, basically who we take interest in, that we can observe.
This was Harry's vision, sort of moving from open data. A lot of cities have open data, but like, you don't.
In my case, I had the opportunity to work for a lot of very, very successful and impactful public administrators through my career. I'd just like to take this opportunity to introduce Aaron Chandler. He is a senior at Virginia State University. He's been shadowing me today. Why don't you stand up, Aaron? Virginia State University is my undergraduate alma mater. I currently serve as the chair of the university's Board of Trustees. So hopefully, with his visit here with us here today, he'll be able to observe this environment, me in the environment, and to get a taste for what it might be like when he gets his opportunity to serve as a senior level executive in the public sector. The building is solid.
Here at Virginia State University, we're excited when we can get business and community leaders to really help mentor our students and walk our students through a process of becoming leaders themselves. And what better person to do that, really, than our rector, Harry Black.
I'm going to take you on a tour of City Hall. Would you like that?
Yeah, definitely. We also took a tour within City Hall in the City Council chamber.
This is council chambers. This is where policies are formulated.
We ended up discussing certain aspects of the room. He showed me where all the
individually everyone sits, and I went over and sat in his chair, a chair that I would hope to fill one day.
You said you wanted to be a city manager, so I'm going to let you sit in my seat for a few seconds, but don't get too comfortable.
First of all, aside from being an extremely smart man, I think Harry's a compassionate man, and he understands equality and the need for those who are less fortunate than he is to have a chance. And I think he is very interested in youth. He sees the youth as our future. He's concerned about it here in the city, and obviously at Virginia State, he's identified a young man who he thinks can benefit from his experience.
This is Aaron Chandler. He's a senior at Virginia State University.
I've been a CEO for almost 30 years, and I can say that Harry Black is probably the most recent example I know of a person, a leader, who can make such a dramatic difference for thousands, tens of thousands, even millions of people in a really short time.
I got the very best of Virginia State University, and I am better for that experience today. Budget director, finance director, most critical.
Meeting these people gives me new aspirations. It shows me that there is a way for a country boy from Suffolk, Virginia to make it in local government.
Just in 2 years, we've been able to obtain 3 national awards.
These people are the same as I am. They went to school
by way of Richmond.
They got educated and they did what they had to do.
I have 2 full-time analysts.
And this opportunity was an opportunity that I will remember for the rest of my life.
We transform lives by sharing knowledge, ideas that flourish, by encouraging creativity with the students that come here. We transform lives by shaping your future through scholarship, by way of study with the finest minds in the world. We transform lives from first-generation students to lifelong learners. We are the best place to be in Virginia to study, work, make an impact on your community. Virginia State University. We are your transformative experience.
Thanks for staying with us. Virginia State University's president, Makola M. Abdullah, recently held his 2nd annual leadership retreat on the university's campus. Members of President Abdullah's leadership team, along with the deans and directors, participated in this 2-day retreat.
One of the reasons why we're here as a team together today is to really form those relationships.
This retreat was a little bit of an adventure because
this year we realized that we wanted to pull in the deans, the associate VPs, and even some other leaders around the school.
I've never felt the sunshine through my cold window pane.
One of the great things about the retreat was to see different groups huddled in groups of 2 or 3 or 4. Some who worked in the same office and some people who didn't, really bonding, creating better relationships with each other.
I do it all thanks to you.
There is a lot of talent in this room. The idea that we can succeed, that is almost really a foregone conclusion. The question becomes, can we come together to work together to change the world? That's the question.
We have to make a very clear decision on what and who we're going to be. The Monday session was really nice, but even before Monday, Sunday, just coming together as a family to sit down and break bread together, I thought was fantastic. The venue that we selected was amazing.
It was interesting because there's a little bit of mystique in the air because we didn't know where we were going for this first evening of our retreat.
So we get on a bus, travel through Petersburg, not really knowing where we were going. And once we arrived and we walked into this beautiful venue, it really put us in the mindset again that this was an opportunity for us to relax and enjoy some of what our local community has to offer while getting to know the new colleagues, as well as networking with some of my old colleagues.
This is really a form of appreciation for everyone who's around this table. You are the leadership at Virginia State University. You are the head, if you will, of the Virginia State University family. For me, it's those kinds of meetings, small meetings, informal meetings, just getting to know each other. That's going to be the part that's going to help us move Virginia State University forward. Why is it important that we start to try to move forward to change the world? Well, it's simple. I really believe that there is a disruption happening in higher education right now. I don't think it's new. I think it's old. I think we're about 10 years into it. And I believe in about 10 years, it will begin to settle itself out. And every university will not be here. Every HBCU certainly will not be here. It will only be for the strong. And so right now, we are actually in a race. We are in a race to move towards the top of that list. So when it starts to settle out, that we'll be on the other side of that list.
The retreat began with the president pretty much welcoming us and giving us an overview of our purpose.
We can't afford to do everything the way that we've done it.
The president opened up the conference really with a conversation about a call to action for us. What is Virginia State University's role as an opportunity university for Virginia?
We can't do the same thing and get the same results. Even if that worked, it won't be enough.
He really laid things out and really asked some very provoking questions that make you think.
We have to begin to move and push forward to be one of the best in the country. We have to do that.
And then we also had a guest speaker come in.
The growth actually happens in the sharing and learning piece, so please share as much as you want to, but don't feel pressure.
To help us understand how to recognize our strengths and utilize those strengths in order to be effective leaders.
Our job in this room, this is everybody. This is the leadership at Virginia State, is to set us on the path to be here another 135 years.
At Virginia State University, the doctoral program in health psychology has two specialized areas of study: clinical health and behavioral and community health sciences. The Behavioral and Community Health Sciences program trains students to conduct research while developing and implementing community interventions. Here's how you can earn a doctoral degree in that program.
Two things I want us to just recap on. Number one, the whole point of interventions is not simply just to write the intervention. It is because I actually was fortunate enough to come to Virginia State University to help start the PhD health psychology program. Today, we will actually start with Christina's intervention, which she already submitted. As we started the program, we wanted something that would be holistic, that would allow us to move into the community, to take research and translate it into the field. And that's where we realized the Behavioral and Community Health Sciences PhD Health Psychology track was a perfect fit for Virginia State University.
The doctoral program is a health psychology program. It has two major tracks to it. There's a behavioral and community health sciences track, and there is a clinical health science track.
If we're focusing on the behavioral and community health sciences track, we want someone that actually wants to get heavily involved in research.
If you're going to be the interns implementing tips, we're going to be at a point where you just raise your hand.
But they want to take their research and go impact communities.
Anything you have when you're doing substance abuse in general.
Virginia State University has an outstanding psychology department, and it's really growing.
So when you're in groups, if you're doing an internship at another site, wherever you're at, the one thing that's the primary focus when you work with the community, when you work with other students, is
our graduates are graduating and becoming certified in a very short time with regards to counseling.
Every time we ran a sister group, everyone wanted to be tested, so they actually started coming to our evening groups.
And some of the general requirements for the program, great GRE score, and at least a 3.0 or better in your academic performance from undergraduate programs, or a 3.5 or above if you come in with a master's degree.
But I would tell you that to get a degree from Virginia State University in psychology is going to prepare you for the world.
The purpose is to make sure we're actually implementing the interventions in the community.
Our relationship with Virginia State University's School of Psychology Health Doctoral Program started with the inception of the new PhD program for health psychology. and we have been working very close with that department.
I'm good. How are you?
They have assigned students to Minority Health Consortium to help to evaluate data for different programs. Minority Health Consortium conducts behavioral interventions, and a lot of times, being a small organization, we don't have the resources to be able to evaluate our own programs, so it'd be very costly. And so this is our testing room. The second area, as I was talking to you earlier, was that we're going to be providing syphilis testing for the inmates at Riverside Regional Jail.
Our goal is to make sure we are focused on mental, physical, social, and spiritual health.
This is a room where people are going to be receiving their test results. And so our relationship with Virginia State's Health Doctorate program has helped us to be able to get those programs evaluated. And we have what we call the condom distribution program called Project Strapped. This is the tuxedo, the condom here. Monitor for the processes. This is an area where people can come in off the street and if they need to use a computer. And also has been able to help us to leverage additional funding for our organization. You're going to be the persons who are going to be educating your peers, right?
One of the things that we look for in students for the BCHS program is someone that not only wants to just come in and have an enriching academic experience, we also want them to want to give back to their communities.
And this is?
Jonathan Roberts.
Christina Denslinger.
The relationship between Virginia State and my office is that we take interns from Virginia State. We do everything in here for veterans, man, that they may need. And we work with them and try to groom them into what we do, and that's work with veterans, human services, mental health. Veterans will come to the transportation department and they get free rides to McGuire Hospital, and we try to expose them to the dynamics of the mental health field and what veterans go through. What we do here is outreach.
You get the applied experience in your training with agencies that are working directly with minority populations. And that will very much complement your training that you received in the classrooms.
Dr. Kimberly Boyd from Virginia State University Health Psychology Department comes to the Petersburg Freedom Support Center to ensure that her doctoral students are on target, to ensure that they are receiving the education and information that they need while they're on site, and to ensure that the relationship and partnership is something that can be sustainable.
They may be working right here today, tomorrow, because we want to, you know what I'm saying? No, we want to develop it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we want to develop.
Okay. On campus, we learn about research, interventions, statistics, evaluations, but we take what we've learned and apply it to help our communities.
Our program is second to none, and I tell you that coming to Virginia State University, you're going to be well prepared and ready to compete with the world when it comes to our psychology program.
Well, that does it for this edition of VSU Today. I'm your host, Daphne Maxwell Reid. For more information on Virginia State University, please visit our website at vsu.edu or visit VSU Today on Facebook for a rebroadcast of our program. See you next time.